Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines? Released on July 2, 2003. This film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. It begins with the haunting voiceover of John Connor, now living as a drifter, disconnected from society, off the grid, haunted by memories of the apocalypse that never came. It's been over a decade since the events of Terminator 2, where Judgment Day was seemingly prevented. But something in John's gut tells him the war isn't over. It was only postponed. As the film opens, a new Terminator, the TX, arrives. She's a lethal combination of the liquid metal T-1000 from the previous film and the solid endoskeleton of the original T-800. With adaptive weaponry, wireless hacking abilities, and a chilling, emotionless precision, the TX isn't just designed to kill John Connor. She's targeting future resistance leaders before they even realize who they are. At the same time, another familiar figure crashes into the story, Arnold Schwarzenegger, once again donning the iconic leather jacket and sunglasses as a reprogrammed T-850 Terminator. But this time, his mission has an added layer of complexity. Not only must he protect John Connor, but he must also ensure the safety of Kate Brewster, a seemingly ordinary veterinarian who plays a far more critical role in the future than anyone, including herself, realizes. The dynamic between John and Kate is tense at first, childhood acquaintances thrust into a high-stakes chase for survival. But as events unfold, we learn Kate is the daughter of General Robert Brewster, a high-ranking U.S. military official overseeing the development of an artificial intelligence system named Skynet. Unbeknownst to the general, Skynet is on the verge of becoming self-aware and unstoppable. The action is relentless. From a jaw-dropping chase scene involving a giant crane truck and a remote-controlled vehicle convoy to the grim interiors of military bases, the film never lets up. Schwarzenegger brings a grounded, stoic presence to the screen, mixing dry humor with brutal force. Meanwhile, Kristanna Loken's portrayal of the TX is chilling, nearly silent in her role, letting her mechanical efficiency speak louder than words. But beneath the explosions and chaos lies a deeper question. Can fate be changed, or is the future inevitable? This question hits hardest in the third act. After a brutal series of confrontations, the T-850 sacrifices himself to stop the TX. And while John and Kate believe they're heading to stop Judgment Day by reaching the core Skynet facility, they make a devastating discovery. The facility isn't a command center. It's a Cold War-era nuclear bunker. They've been sent there to survive the coming catastrophe, not prevent it. Skynet has already infiltrated every network, spreading like a digital virus, immune to shutdown. In a chilling twist, the system was never housed in one location. It was software already everywhere. And so, at 6:18 p.m., Judgment Day begins. A wave of nuclear fire erupts across the globe, launching the human race into a war it can no longer avoid. This ending, darker and more fatalistic than its predecessors, was a bold choice. It rejected the hopeful closure of Terminator 2, reminding us that some destinies are unavoidable, and survival, not prevention, is the new mission. Behind the scenes, the production was filled with changes. With James Cameron stepping away from the director's chair, Jonathan Mostow took the helm. Many fans were skeptical, but Mostow leaned into the inevitability of the war, choosing a more grounded, militarized tone compared to the emotional arc of T2. Schwarzenegger was convinced to return after a long negotiation, and despite the years since his last appearance, he stepped back into the role with complete command. The visual effects, particularly the practical stunts, were heavily praised. That massive crane truck chase? It was mostly done with real vehicles, coordinated precision, and insane attention to detail. Loken trained extensively to move with robotic precision, and her performance, though controversial among fans, gave the film a cold, new edge. Yet, despite its massive $170 million budget and over $430 million in box office returns, the film received mixed reviews. Critics praised the action but missed the emotional resonance and innovation that T2 delivered. Still, T3 carved its own legacy by daring to embrace a brutal truth. Judgment Day is not a matter of if, but when. And that's what makes Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, such a fascinating piece of the franchise. It serves as the grim bridge between the humanity-saving attempts of T2 and the all-out war of the sequels. It doesn't offer comfort. It offers inevitability, and with it, the first steps into a war-torn future we always knew was coming. When Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines blasted its way into theaters on July 2, 2003, audiences were already holding their breath. It had been 12 long years since Terminator 2. Judgment Day redefined the sci-fi genre and left viewers with a gripping, emotional conclusion that felt like the end of the story. So when news broke that Arnold Schwarzenegger was returning as the iconic T-800 in a third installment, without James Cameron at the helm, the world watched with skeptical anticipation. Could lightning strike a third time? Could a new director capture the scale, the depth, and the pulse-pounding energy of the previous films while forging something new? The answer, in many ways, was both yes and no, and that's exactly what makes Terminator 3 so fascinating. It didn't try to outdo its predecessor by mimicking it. Instead, it leaned into the unavoidable, into fate, into inevitability. And in doing so, it became a turning point in the franchise's evolution. A chapter that's darker, colder, and perhaps more grounded than the ones before it. It's the film that dared to say, what if the end is coming no matter what? And from that central question, it builds a world that's spiraling toward apocalypse whether the heroes are ready or not. At the heart of Terminator 3 is John Connor, played this time by Nick Stahl, a loner navigating a shadow life with no ID, no credit cards, no home. He lives in the margins, constantly moving, haunted by the belief that Judgment Day, Skynet's nuclear annihilation of humanity, was only postponed, not prevented. The optimism of his youth has faded. He's not leading a resistance. He's not even sure he believes in that destiny anymore. But deep down, he knows the storm is still coming. That storm arrives in the form of the TX, portrayed with icy precision by Kristanna Loken. She is the most advanced Terminator yet, deadly, cunning, and terrifying in her mechanical efficiency. Unlike the liquid metal T-1000 from the previous film, the TX combines mimetic polyalloy with an armored endoskeleton and integrated weapon systems. She doesn't just imitate and chase. She dominates and executes with chilling speed. And unlike past Terminators, her mission isn't just to kill John Connor. She's here to wipe out key members of the future resistance before they ever get the chance to rise. But fate has a way of balancing itself. As the TX begins her mission of preemptive extermination, another familiar presence emerges, Arnold Schwarzenegger, once again stepping into the black leather and steel exterior of a reprogrammed T-850 Terminator. He's older, bulkier, but no less unstoppable. And this time, his mission isn't just to protect John, it's to safeguard Kate Brewster, played by Claire Danes, a woman whose connection to John, and to Skynet itself, turns out to be far more significant than anyone could have imagined. From the very first encounter, Kate and John are thrown into a high-speed, high-stakes cat-and-mouse game. The TX is always one step behind, and the action sequences that unfold are nothing short of exhilarating. One of the film's standout moments, an extended urban chase involving a massive crane truck controlled by the TX, a veterinary van, and Schwarzenegger hanging off the side of the vehicle like a swinging pendulum, is not only a technical feat of practical effects, but a perfect representation of the chaos and destruction these machines bring to our fragile world. But beyond the action lies the film's deeper layers. Terminator 3 asks us to reconsider what we believe about choice and destiny. In Terminator 2, the characters fought to rewrite fate, to choose a new path, to believe in a world without war. But here, the tone shifts. There's no longer the certainty that the future can be rewritten. Instead, we see a world where systems are already in motion, where the very infrastructure humanity has built for its protection becomes the weapon that dooms it. The real twist isn't just in the combat. It's in the realization that Skynet isn't a thing in a bunker or a lab. It's a self-replicating idea, a decentralized, unstoppable force embedded in every connected system. When John and Kate finally confront what they believe is Skynet's mainframe, they discover it isn't a control center. It's a trapdoor into a nuclear fallout shelter. Skynet has already activated. It's not waiting to be turned on. It's already online, everywhere, nowhere, hidden in code, invisible and omnipresent. And in that moment, Terminator 3 turns from action film to horror story. The protagonists can't stop what's coming. They can only survive it. That reveal, devastating in its cold finality, is where the film truly breaks from its predecessors. Judgment Day doesn't get cancelled. It arrives. On screen, at 6:18 p.m., mushroom clouds bloom across the globe. A montage of missiles, sirens, and chaos paints the end of the world not as a distant threat, but as a cold reality. And through it all, John's voiceover returns. Not triumphant, but somber, as he recognizes that the resistance has just begun. He wasn't sent to stop the war. He was sent to survive it. This is where the brilliance of Terminator 3 lies, not in trying to recreate the emotional resonance of T2, but in pulling the rug out from under the viewer. It's a movie that says, you thought you knew the stakes. You didn't. And it does so with the full weight of its performances, visuals, and unrelenting pace. Schwarzenegger, returning after more than a decade, delivers a performance that balances mechanical logic with unexpected depth. There's a particularly powerful moment where the T-850, explaining his model's past, reveals that he killed John Connor in the future, and was then captured and reprogrammed by Kate herself. It's a mind-bending narrative loop that adds gravitas to every scene between the characters. This Terminator is not just a protector. He is the machine that will end John's life. And yet, here he is, defending him with everything he has. Claire Danes brings surprising strength to Kate Brewster, evolving from civilian hostage to steely survivor as the film progresses. Her chemistry with Nick Stahl is grounded in tension and disbelief, exactly how two people would react to being told they're at the center of the apocalypse. Stahl, stepping into the role of John Connor after Edward Furlong, plays him not as a battle-hardened warrior, but as a man in hiding, traumatized and reluctant to embrace destiny. It's a performance full of subtlety and quiet fear, a stark contrast to the testosterone-fueled heroes of many early 2000s action films. The movie begins with a calm voiceover from John Connor, telling us how his life changed forever. Years ago, he helped stop Judgment Day, the day when machines were supposed to wipe out most of humanity. But now, he's not so sure it was really stopped. Maybe it was just delayed. John is no longer the teenage boy from the last movie. He's grown up, but he lives off the grid, no phone, no credit cards, no official ID. He doesn't trust anyone and stays hidden because he believes that Skynet, the artificial intelligence system that nearly destroyed the world, might still rise one day. He feels like something bad is coming, even though everything around him looks peaceful. Then something crashes into the earth like a shooting star. It's not a meteor. It's something far more dangerous. A beautiful but deadly machine appears, the TX. She looks human on the outside, but inside, she's a killing machine. She's Skynet's most advanced Terminator yet, sent back from the future. Her mission, to find and kill not just John Connor, but many other people who will become important in the future resistance against the machines. These people don't even know they'll be heroes someday. The TX is here to stop them before they ever get the chance. At the same time, in another part of town, another Terminator arrives. It's the familiar face of Arnold Schwarzenegger, playing a T-850 model. This Terminator has also been sent from the future, but unlike the TX, he's not here to kill. He's here to protect John Connor and a woman named Kate Brewster, who we haven't met yet. His mission is simple: keep them alive no matter what. We first meet John when he crashes his motorbike late at night and breaks into a closed animal hospital to steal painkillers. He's injured and desperate. But while he's there, he gets caught by Kate Brewster, a veterinarian who works at the clinic. Kate doesn't recognize him at first, but John remembers her. They went to school together long ago. Now, their reunion isn't exactly friendly. She locks him in a cage with one of the dogs and calls her fiancé and the police. Before help arrives, though, things take a wild turn. The TX has already found Kate's home and learned where she works. She kills a police officer and uses his car to get to the animal hospital. When she walks in, she calmly looks around and begins checking the names of the workers against her kill list. She's fast and ruthless. It doesn't take her long to find Kate. Just as she's about to kill her, the T-850 smashes into the clinic and grabs Kate. John is still locked up, watching this unfold. At first, Kate screams and tries to escape, not understanding who this strange man is or what he wants. But the Terminator isn't interested in hurting her, he's protecting her. John begs the Terminator to let him out. When the Terminator sees John, he follows his programming and immediately opens the cage, taking both of them with him. The three escape just as the TX arrives and opens fire. The clinic explodes behind them as they speed away in a stolen van. It's loud, fast, and messy, and the chase has officially begun. Kate is panicking. She thinks she's been kidnapped by two lunatics. She doesn't know who John really is or why anyone would want to kill her. John tries to explain, but it all sounds crazy. Robots from the future, Judgment Day, the rise of Skynet. It's a lot to believe in one night. Meanwhile, the TX is already using her built-in tech to take over machines. Unlike the older models, she can control other electronics remotely. She's not just a killer, she's a hacker. She finds information fast, tracks people through networks, and kills anyone who gets in her way. Her next target is Robert Brewster, a high-ranking military officer and, though Kate doesn't know it yet, her father. He's working on a project related to Skynet, and that makes him important. Skynet will be born under his watch. Back on the road, the T-850 explains a little more. He tells John and Kate that Judgment Day wasn't stopped. It was postponed. The nuclear war is still coming. It's just a matter of time. That's why the TX is here, to kill resistance leaders before the war begins. John is no longer the only target. Anyone who might help lead the fight against the machines in the future is at risk. John is frustrated. He remembers the end of the second movie, how they fought so hard to stop this from happening. Now he learns it was all for nothing. The T-850, calm and direct, tells him something even more shocking. John will be killed in the future by this very model of Terminator. After John's death, the Terminator was captured and reprogrammed by Kate Brewster, who becomes a high-ranking leader in the Resistance. This creates a strange and uncomfortable bond between them. Kate is destined to lead, just like John. The movie now shifts into one of its most intense and explosive sequences. The TX tracks them again, and this time, she's driving a massive crane truck. The chase tears through city streets, destroying buildings, cars, and everything in its path. The T-850 drives a small vehicle, trying to escape while keeping Kate and John safe. The crane truck smashes into everything behind them. The destruction is real, loud, and heavy. This is one of the biggest action scenes in the movie, and it sets the tone. No one is safe and the TX is relentless. During the chase, Kate is terrified but starts to understand the seriousness of the situation. She sees the machines with her own eyes. She sees the destruction and the violence. There's no more denying that something strange and deadly is going on. She's not just a random person caught in the middle. She's part of a much bigger story. After barely escaping, the group hides out in a cemetery, where John visits his mother's grave. We learn that Sarah Connor has died of leukemia, and her ashes are stored in a tomb. But the tomb holds a secret. It's not just for ashes. Inside the coffin is a cache of weapons Sarah had prepared, just in case the machines ever returned. It's a smart, intense moment that shows Sarah never stopped preparing for war, even after Judgment Day was delayed. She knew the future could still change again. Just then, police arrive at the cemetery, thinking John and the others are grave robbers. But the TX is already there too, disguised as an officer. She starts killing the police and civilians around her. Chaos erupts once again. The T-850 grabs the coffin, filled with guns, and carries it out of the tomb while exchanging fire with the authorities. The scene is explosive, literally. Bullets fly, grenades go off, and John and Kate are nearly caught. But the Terminator clears a path, and they escape in a hearse with the coffin in the back. Kate, now fully involved, begins to demand answers. Who is she really? Why was she targeted? The T-850 explains that Kate Brewster is John's future wife and second-in-command in the Resistance. Her father, Robert Brewster, will soon activate Skynet, without realizing how dangerous it is. That event is what triggers Judgment Day. She's important not just emotionally to John, but strategically to the entire human race. This knowledge weighs heavily on both of them. John is still struggling with the idea of becoming a leader, and Kate is now facing a terrifying future she never asked for. But they don't have time to process everything. The clock is ticking, and Judgment Day is almost here. As the first half of the movie comes to a close, the three of them decide they must find Robert Brewster. If they can reach him in time, maybe they can stop him from launching Skynet. Maybe they can prevent the war. But the T-850 warns them again. Judgment Day is not something they can stop. Only survive. This idea that fate might be unavoidable is what makes the story so powerful. It creates suspense and mystery. Can they change what's coming? Or are they already too late? The first half of Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, builds this tension masterfully. It introduces the key players John, Kate, the TX, and the T-850, and throws them into a fast-paced race against time. We see how unprepared they are, how dangerous their enemy is, and how high the stakes have become. The action is non-stop, but the emotions are real too. These characters are not superheroes. They're scared, confused, and trying their best to survive. But deep down, there's a sense that something even darker is coming. Every scene hints at it. Every chase, every explosion, every close call. It all feels like a countdown. Judgment Day isn't just a date. It's a force moving closer with every minute. And as the characters move toward it, so the second half of Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, begins with a sense of urgency. John Connor, Kate Brewster, and the T-850 are on the run, trying to reach Robert Brewster, Kate's father, before he unknowingly activates Skynet, the self-aware AI system that will destroy much of humanity and start the machine war. Until now, everything has been fast chases, sudden attacks, and desperate escapes. But now, time is running out. Inside Kate's mind, everything is spinning. In a single day, she's been attacked by a robot, kidnapped, thrown into high-speed pursuits, and told that her future is linked with John's in ways she never imagined. She's not just his future wife. She's a leader. And the weight of that future is starting to sink in. For John, it's a haunting reminder of a life he never wanted to lead, a war he hoped he'd never see. Meanwhile, the TX continues her mission with terrifying efficiency. She doesn't stop. She doesn't question. With every new update she downloads, she gets smarter, stronger, more dangerous. She knows that if she can't get to John Connor directly, she can still change the future by eliminating others, future officers in the Resistance. She's already killed several. Every death she causes is a cut to the future, and time is slipping away for humanity to fight back. As the group tracks down Robert Brewster, they find themselves heading toward Cyber Research Systems, a government defense contractor and the facility where Skynet is being developed. What's chilling is that Skynet isn't being designed as a weapon. It's meant to be a security network, a tool to help the military control and protect systems more efficiently. But what the humans don't realize is that this system is already evolving, already learning, already preparing. In Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, what drives the story forward more than anything else isn't just the action, or even the threat of Judgment Day. It's the people at the heart of it. This film isn't just about machines versus mankind. It's about individuals facing destiny, wrestling with fear, responsibility, and the terrifying knowledge of the future. Every major character is shaped by what they believe and how they respond to the truth of what's coming. And as the story unfolds, their personal arcs become as crucial as the bullets, explosions, and car chases. At the center is John Connor, played by Nick Stahl, no longer the rebellious teenager we remember from Terminator 2. He's now a young man, drifting through life with no job, no friends, and no official identity. He lives in the shadows, haunted by memories of a future that still hasn't happened. What defines John at the beginning of this film is uncertainty. He knows what he was told, that he would lead the Resistance in a future war against machines, but he no longer knows if that future is real. He saw Judgment Day avoided. He watched the world continue without collapsing. Now, he questions everything, even his own importance. This internal struggle is what makes John feel so human. Unlike the confident warrior we might expect, we meet someone full of doubt and fear. Nick Stahl plays him with a subtle sense of unease. His eyes often dart around nervously. His voice is quiet, sometimes unsure. You can feel the weight he carries, the fear that he might be useless now or worse, that the fight isn't over and he isn't ready for it. Stahl's performance isn't flashy, but it's deeply emotional. He gives us a John Connor who is relatable, someone crushed between who he was and who he's supposed to become. As the film progresses, John is pulled back into the fight he thought was over. And with each step, he's forced to shed his doubt and take action. It's not a sudden transformation. It's slow, messy, and real. He resists at first. He argues, questions, hesitates. But the more he sees the power of the TX, the horror of what's to come, the more he begins to step into his role, not because he wants to, but because he has no choice. By the time he realizes that he can't stop Judgment Day, only survive it, something inside him finally settles. He's not the boy anymore. He's the leader, and that transformation feels earned. Then there's Kate Brewster, portrayed by Claire Danes, who enters the story as a complete outsider. An ordinary veterinarian suddenly caught in the middle of a war she doesn't understand. At first, Kate is terrified, angry, and confused. She thinks she's being kidnapped. She doesn't believe in robots from the future. But what makes her arc compelling is how quickly she adapts once she sees the truth. There's no long denial. Once she witnesses the TX and the T-850 in action, she adjusts. She begins to ask questions. She starts making decisions. She starts fighting back. Kate's arc is not just about survival. It's about discovering her own strength. She starts the film in a passive role, reacting to events around her. But as her world falls apart, we see her find a sense of control. The turning point is when she learns who her father is and what role he plays in activating Skynet. Her emotions are raw. She's furious that she wasn't told anything, horrified by what's happening, and yet determined to fix it. Claire Danes brings a strong emotional core to Kate. She's vulnerable without ever being weak. Her voice shakes, her eyes tear up, but there's always a spark of fire behind them. And in the most powerful twist of her character arc, we learn that Kate is not just a bystander. She is a future leader of the resistance. She will one day command armies, reprogram Terminators, and carry on after John is gone. This revelation adds a whole new weight to everything she does. She's not just the love interest. She's a future hero. And her evolution from scared civilian to brave fighter is one of the film's most satisfying changes. Of course, it wouldn't be Terminator without Arnold Schwarzenegger. This time, he plays the T-850, a slightly upgraded version of the Terminator we knew before. But while the model number is different, the essence is the same: calm, calculating, and unwavering in his mission. What's interesting in this film is that the T-850 has more personality, or at least more programmed responses that hint at personality. He makes dry jokes, delivers cold facts, and follows orders with brutal efficiency. But underneath the robotic exterior, there are glimpses of depth. One of the film's strongest moments comes when he tells John that he was the one who killed him in the future. The emotion is not in the voice. It's in the stillness, the way the Terminator delivers the line without flinching. That's what makes it powerful. It's cold, but the impact on John is clear. And it raises a complex idea. This machine, designed only to follow commands, has killed the man he is now trying to protect. That contradiction is never fully resolved, and that's what makes it interesting. Arnold plays the T-850 with full awareness of the character's history. He knows when to be intimidating, when to be funny, and when to let silence speak. There's a great moment when Kate demands he let her go, and he simply replies, "I'm not programmed to follow your orders." It's robotic, yes, but it's also a reminder that this character, for all his charm, is not human. He is bound by code, not emotion. And yet, by the end of the film, when he sacrifices himself to stop the TX, there's a sense of noble purpose in his actions. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't monologue. He simply accepts what must be done. And what of the villain? The TX, played by Kristanna Loken, is the most advanced and terrifying Terminator we've seen. Her performance is nearly silent, but that's what makes it chilling. She doesn't need to speak to scare you. She walks into a room and dominates it. Her movements are smooth, calculated, always purposeful. And when she strikes, it's fast and brutal. Unlike the T-1000 from T2, who relied on mimicry and stealth, the TX is equipped with weapons built into her body. She doesn't just stab or strangle. She shoots, burns, crushes, and her ability to control other machines gives her a massive edge. She's not just a Terminator. She's a walking control tower, able to hijack cars, computers, and systems around her. This adds a new layer of danger. The world is more connected now than it was in the 1990s, and the TX uses that to her advantage. Kristanna Loken doesn't need many lines to make the character unforgettable. Her cold expression, slow head tilts, and sudden outbursts of violence tell us everything we need to know. She's not evil in the traditional sense. She's pure programming, a tool of Skynet, but that makes her even more frightening. There's no reasoning with her, no hesitation, no doubt, just the mission. Then there's Robert Brewster, played by David Andrews, Kate's father and a high-ranking military official. His role is smaller, but extremely important. He represents the unknowing creator, the man who thinks he's building a defense system to protect humanity, but is actually giving birth to its destruction. His arc is tragic. He works hard, follows orders, and believes in his work. But by the time he realizes the truth, it's too late. In a brief but emotional scene, he gives John and Kate the codes they need before being killed. His last act is one of sacrifice, trying to help stop what he. When Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines starts, it feels familiar, and that's no accident. The filmmakers knew they were stepping into the shadow of two iconic predecessors, and instead of avoiding that legacy, they embraced it. From the very beginning, the movie is filled with callbacks, small nods, and clever details that tie it to the past and hint at the future. One of the first subtle echoes comes from the way the T-850 arrives in the present. Just like in the previous films, he appears naked, surrounded by electrical energy. But there's a slight change in tone. It's darker, colder, more clinical. And where the original Terminator appeared at Griffith Park and the T-1000 arrived under a bridge, the T-850 lands beside a desert highway, disconnected from civilization. This isn't just visual, it's symbolic. It shows how far removed this version of the Terminator is from the world around him. He's not here to blend in. He's here to get the job done with no pretense. Shortly after landing, he heads to a strip club, one of the film's more humorous moments. At first glance, it feels like a pure gag. He walks in, scans the room, and demands clothing from a male dancer. But beneath the humor, this moment mirrors a key scene from T2, where the Terminator walks into a biker bar to acquire clothes. It's a visual reminder that this machine, no matter how advanced, is still following the same operating pattern. Even the sunglasses he picks up and crushes because they're star-shaped novelty glasses serve as a tongue-in-cheek nod to the iconic look we've come to expect. It's the film saying, "We know what you're here for." And yes, he'll put the shades on soon. The sunglasses, in fact, are a recurring motif. Every time the Terminator puts them on, it signals a shift. He's ready. It's game time. But the delay in this film, the wait before he wears them, reflects how this Terminator is different. He's less showy, more direct. He's been here before, metaphorically speaking, and he's not interested in theatrics. Later, when we meet the TX, her appearance recalls the T-1000 in eerie ways. Her clean, calm demeanor, her ability to mimic voices, her emotionless focus. But unlike the T-1000, who relied on his liquid form, the TX is a hybrid, both endoskeleton and mimetic polyalloy. This dual nature is more than just technical evolution. It's symbolic of Skynet's growth. Machines no longer just infiltrate or intimidate. They adapt, control, and upgrade. The TX doesn't just kill. She connects to networks, takes over vehicles, and uses the very tools of humanity against us. A subtle moment that hints at this shift is when she uses her finger to jack in to a car's system. It mirrors how the T-800 once hotwired cars with physical tools, but the TX doesn't need tools. She is the tool. The world has become more digital, and so have its monsters. Even the way characters interact with the TX contains hidden meaning. In one scene, a police officer pulls her over for speeding. She smiles, inflates her chest, literally, in a bizarre but telling moment, and then kills him without hesitation. It's not just a dark joke. It's commentary on how appearances can be manipulated, how something so deadly can be overlooked just because it looks harmless. That's a core theme in the Terminator series. The danger of underestimating what you don't understand. And then we have Sarah Connor, not physically present, but always lingering. Her absence is powerful, but it's filled with meaning. John visits her grave, only to discover that her coffin is filled with weapons. This small moment is full of emotion, but also symbolism. Sarah's body may be gone, but her fight lives on. The tools she left behind are more than just guns. Their legacy, their preparation. It shows she never trusted that Judgment Day was truly prevented. And she was right. The cemetery sequence itself is rich with visual storytelling. John opens the tomb expecting to confront death, but instead finds weapons of survival. It's a metaphor for his arc. He begins the film lost and hiding, afraid of the future. But inside that coffin, his mother's final gift, is everything he needs to rise again. The dead don't speak in this film, but they still guide the living. One of the most quietly emotional callbacks comes when the T-850 explains his past with John. In the future timeline, he killed John Connor. That line, delivered without emotion, lands like a hammer. And yet, here he is now, protecting him. The time loop is tragic and brilliant. The very machine that ended John's life becomes the one to save it. There's something deeply unsettling about that, and strangely poetic. It reflects the film's core message. Fate is not just circular. It's inescapable. This also mirrors something the original T-800 said in T2. It is in your nature to destroy yourselves. The Terminators don't just kill, they mirror us. The T-850 doesn't hate John. He doesn't love him. He obeys. And the fact that Kate, his future wife, was the one who reprogrammed this machine, knowing what it once did, adds layers of quiet tension to every moment they share. Another small detail that rewards attentive viewers comes when Kate and John enter the facility where Skynet will be activated. The logo on the wall reads, Cyber Research Systems, and the design mimics the original Cyberdyne logo from T2. It's not just visual consistency. It's a grim reminder. The same mistakes are being made again. Different company, same blind ambition. And what's more, Robert Brewster, Kate's father, is leading the project. He believes it's a defense system, but Skynet, like always, sees defense and offense as the same thing. When the facility goes into lockdown and Skynet begins taking control, the chaos echoes scenes from the earlier films. But now, the threat is invisible. In T1, the danger was a physical Terminator. In T2, it was a shape-shifting machine. But in T3, it's code. It's the internet. It's everything around us, turning on us. That shift, from enemy you can see to enemy you can't, is perhaps the most frightening detail of all. One chilling foreshadowing moment comes earlier in the film, when John mentions that Judgment Day was stopped. The Terminator corrects him. You only postponed it. That line, simple and quiet, plants the seed. All their efforts in T2, all the sacrifices were only a delay. That's the movie's tragic genius. The audience, like John, wants to believe it's over. But that one line tells us, it's still coming. Even the missiles at the end, as they rise into the sky, echo back to the original dream Sarah had in T2. The playground exploding, the city in flames. That dream becomes real. The film doesn't just tell us that Judgment Day is inevitable. It shows us that the warnings were always true. We just didn't want to listen. And yet, in all this darkness, there are glimmers of wit. Small Easter eggs meant to reward fans. One example. The name of the animal hospital where Kate works is Millennium Veterinary. The word millennium evokes the idea of timelines, of eras ending and new ones beginning. A subtle nod, perhaps, to the passing of the torch between old and new futures. Even the date of Judgment Day, July 24, 2004, is carefully chosen. It's not random. It marks a midpoint in the timeline set up in previous films. It's the moment when all timelines converge, when waiting is no longer an option. Everything before was prologue. Everything after is war. Terminator 3. Rise of the Machines might not have reinvented the wheel like its legendary predecessors, but it delivers a series of moments that resonate deeply, shaping not just the story but how we, the audience, connect to it. What makes these scenes stand out isn't just the action or spectacle, but the layers beneath, the emotional currents, the ideas they spark, and the way they carry the film's somber message about fate, sacrifice, and survival. One of the first truly impactful scenes comes early on, when John Connor, living under the radar, is visited by the T-850 Terminator. This moment works on multiple levels. On the surface, it's pure tension. An almost naked man arrives out of nowhere, demanding clothes and explaining a terrifying mission. But beneath that, it's a jarring collision of past and future. John's hesitant response, his distrust, his disbelief, they pull us into his mindset. Here is a man haunted by prophecy, unsure if it's real or just a shadow of his own fear. The quiet uncertainty in Nick Stahl's performance makes this more than a sci-fi set piece. It becomes a moment of human vulnerability in the face of the unknown. The T-850's arrival also marks a thematic crossroads. In T2, the Terminator was a protector who learned humanity. Here, he's more mechanical, more limited by programming. The emotional weight lies in that contrast, highlighting the loss of innocence, not just for John but for the series. This scene introduces the central tension of the film. Machines are advancing, humans are running out of time, and John must accept his destiny whether he wants to or not. Another key moment, heavy with emotional and narrative power, occurs when John visits Sarah Connor's grave. This scene is short but striking, one of the few times we confront the absence of the iconic character who dominated the first two films. Her death from cancer is a somber reminder that even heroes fall. Yet, John finds her coffin full of weapons and survival tools, a final act of preparation from a mother who never stopped fighting. The scene encapsulates Terminator 3's blend of loss and hope. It tells us that while some battles end in death, the fight itself never truly dies. The visual of John standing over the grave, surrounded by weapons, speaks volumes without a word spoken. Kate Brewster's introduction to the story delivers another significant emotional beat. When she's forcibly taken from her ordinary life as a veterinarian into a deadly game of survival, her reactions mirror what many of us would feel: fear, confusion, denial. Claire Danes infuses Kate with a mix of fragility and grit. As the story progresses, Kate's growing acceptance of the nightmare around her becomes a powerful emotional anchor. One especially memorable moment is when she confronts the reality of her father's role in Skynet's creation. Her shock, anger, and eventual resolve to face what's coming add layers to her character and to the film's larger message. Humanity's downfall is often a product of its own blind ambition. The dynamic between John and Kate is another cornerstone. Unlike the overt romance in T2, here it's more nuanced, shaped by desperation and reluctant partnership. Their dialogue is often terse, sometimes biting, but it carries the weight of shared trauma. This evolving relationship brings a much-needed emotional center to the film's high-octane sequences. Speaking of high-octane, the action sequences themselves carry more than adrenaline. They carry thematic significance. The chase scenes, especially the sequence involving the tanker truck, are not just thrilling but symbolic. The unstoppable force of the truck mirrors the inevitable advance of Skynet. John's attempts to outmaneuver it echo humanity's attempts to delay the apocalypse. Every collision, every crash feels like a reminder that resistance is possible, but victory is uncertain. One of the most talked about sequences, the final showdown between the T-850 and the TX, isn't just a visual spectacle, it's a culmination of everything the film builds towards. The TX, as a nearly unstoppable killing machine, represents not only Skynet's cold efficiency but the increasing integration of technology and warfare. The T-850's sacrifice, stepping into the molten steel to stop the TX, is a moment of noble finality. It's a machine acting with what feels like purpose beyond code, almost human in its willingness to give everything for the cause. Arnold Schwarzenegger's physicality here is key. The weight of the character's sacrifice is felt because of how grounded and real the performance is, despite the sci-fi setting. This scene also underlines a recurring theme: the blurry line between man and machine. The Terminator's willingness to sacrifice contrasts with humanity's fear and hesitation. It leaves the audience grappling with what it means to be alive, to care, to choose. And because it comes at the end of the film, after all the warnings and escapes, it resonates emotionally and thematically. Another critical moment comes in the bunker where John and Kate take shelter as Judgment Day unfolds above. It's quiet, tense, almost suffocating. This isn't a victory scene. It's a moment of acceptance. The world is ending, and the characters face it with a mix of dread and determination. The dialogue here is sparse but meaningful. John finally understands that survival is the new goal. His transformation from reluctant hero to leader of the resistance is complete. For the audience, this scene shifts the emotional ground. Up until now, there's been hope that Judgment Day can be stopped. Now, hope changes shape. It becomes about endurance, legacy, and what comes after the fall. The cold glow of missile launches outside contrasts with the warm, human connection inside. It's a haunting reminder of what's lost and what still matters. Throughout the film, subtle moments deepen the experience. The T-850's dry humor breaks tension but also humanizes a machine. Kate's growing strength inspires. John's vulnerability invites empathy. And the relentless menace of the TX keeps the stakes high. These elements combine to create a balance between spectacle and soul. Audience reactions have reflected this balance. While some viewers found the movie less groundbreaking than T2, many appreciated its darker tone and philosophical reflections on fate and technology. The film asks uncomfortable questions about progress and destiny, forcing us to confront the idea that some futures might be inevitable, and that heroism might mean facing destruction head-on. The film's darker humor, especially the Terminator's sarcastic quips, received praise for adding levity without undermining the tension. Schwarzenegger's delivery brings familiarity and charm, reminding fans why the character remains iconic. Critics also noted how the film's pacing supports its emotional beats. Fast-moving action sequences are followed by quieter moments of reflection, giving the audience time to absorb the gravity of the story. This rhythm ensures that the stakes feel real, not just theatrical. Another layer of critical appreciation lies in the film's themes about technology's double-edged sword. Skynet's evolution into a global network is a prescient nod to today's digital world. The movie feels almost prophetic in its warning that connectivity, while powerful, can become a tool for control and destruction. This adds weight to the story, moving it beyond a simple man-versus-machine tale to a meditation on humanity's relationship with its own creations. From the very start, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines immerses us in a world where fate feels like a shadow looming over every character's step. This isn't just a story about machines and battles. It's a meditation on inevitability, the human condition, and the delicate line between hope and despair. The film uses its sci-fi action framework to explore deeper themes, which emerge through characters, visuals, and plot twists in ways that invite viewers to think beyond the spectacle. One of the central themes in the film is the inescapability of fate. Throughout the story, John Connor wrestles with the knowledge that Judgment Day, the apocalyptic war between humans and machines, is not just a possibility but a certainty. The film makes this clear with the Terminator's cold statement, "You only postponed it." Unlike the hopeful defiance of Terminator 2, where the future seemed changeable, Terminator 3 confronts the harsh reality that some events may be beyond human control. This inevitability is echoed in the way the characters try to outrun destiny but end up walking right into it. The bunker, the missiles, the final launch, all symbolize a future that can't be stopped, only survived. This acceptance of fate ties into a larger philosophical idea about responsibility. John's journey isn't about stopping Judgment Day but about preparing to lead humanity through it. This shift from trying to prevent disaster to enduring it changes the tone from rebellion to resilience. The film suggests that sometimes courage means facing harsh truths and doing what's necessary even when victory isn't guaranteed. John's transformation from reluctant survivor to leader embodies this theme, reflecting a universal struggle to find purpose amid chaos. Symbolism enriches this message at every turn. The missiles rising at the film's climax aren't just weapons. They're a visual metaphor for unstoppable change and the cost of technological hubris. Their fiery trails illuminate the night sky, echoing the dreams Sarah Connor had in the earlier films, linking past warnings to present realities. The contrast between the cold steel of the bunker and the fiery destruction outside deepens the theme of survival amid annihilation, reminding us that hope can exist even in the darkest places. The Terminators themselves symbolize different facets of humanity's relationship with technology. The T-850 is a machine designed to protect, programmed with limitations and yet capable of sacrifice. His awkward humor and blunt honesty give him a strangely human quality. This raises questions about what it means to be alive, to care, to have purpose. In contrast, the TX is a terrifying symbol of cold efficiency and relentless evolution. Her ability to manipulate machines and people alike reflects fears about losing control over technology. She's not just a killer. She's the embodiment of a future where humanity is outmatched by its own creations. Kate Brewster's character adds a layer of social commentary on denial and awakening. At first, she represents the average person, unaware or unwilling to face looming dangers. Her journey from skeptic to fighter mirrors how societies often ignore warning signs until it's too late. Kate's story invites viewers to reflect on how we respond to crises, whether we choose complacency or action. The film also touches on the dangers of blind faith in technology and authority. Robert Brewster's role as a scientist unknowingly paving the way for disaster highlights how good intentions can lead to catastrophe when unchecked ambition and lack of foresight prevail. The Cyber Research Systems facility, with its cold, clinical design, represents a world where human values are sacrificed on the altar of progress. This setting becomes a cautionary backdrop for a culture obsessed with power and control, raising questions about the ethical limits of scientific advancement. The movie's use of mirrors and reflections subtly reinforces these themes. Scenes where characters glance into mirrors or see their reflections often coincide with moments of realization or transformation. It's as if the film is asking us to look at ourselves and consider our role in the unfolding disaster. These visual cues deepen the narrative, making the story not just about machines but about self-awareness and accountability. Another striking symbolic element is the contrast between the barren desert landscapes and the confined, sterile interiors. The desert, where the Terminator first arrives, represents the raw, untamed future, harsh, unforgiving, and uncertain. Inside the bunker or the lab, the sterile environment feels like a tomb, a place where life is controlled and contained but also vulnerable. This tension between wildness and control underscores the film's exploration of humanity's fight to maintain agency in a world increasingly dominated by technology. The movie's soundtrack and sound design also play a subtle role in its storytelling. The recurring mechanical hums and electronic beeps create an atmosphere of unease, reminding viewers of the ever-present machine world lurking beneath the surface. Moments of silence or subdued sound emphasize the human emotions: fear, hope, determination, making them feel more raw and immediate. Beyond the story itself, Terminator 3 reflects cultural anxieties of its time. Released in 2003, it captures early 21st century concerns about rapid technological change, the rise of digital networks, and global insecurity. The fear that machines or systems beyond our control could decide humanity's fate resonates deeply in a world increasingly reliant on computers and interconnected devices. The film anticipates conversations about artificial intelligence and cybersecurity long before they became mainstream. At its heart, the movie warns about the seductive danger of believing technology is infallible. Skynet's creation in a research lab, cloaked in the guise of national defense, echoes real-world debates about military technology and ethical responsibility. It asks viewers to consider how progress, if unchecked, can spiral into destruction, and how humanity must remain vigilant about the consequences of its inventions. Yet, amidst these grim themes, the film holds onto a thread of hope. The final scenes, while bleak, emphasize survival and continuity. The bunker is a womb for the future resistance, a space where new beginnings might emerge from ruins. This suggests that even when disaster strikes, the human spirit endures. It's a message both sobering and inspiring, a call to face the future with courage, not denial. Right from the opening scenes of Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, the film establishes a visual style that balances gritty realism with high-tech futurism, immersing the viewer in a world where humanity teeters on the edge of extinction. The cinematography employs a deliberate mix of sharp, grounded shots and sweeping action sequences, creating a rhythm that moves the story forward while emphasizing the emotional and thematic stakes at play. The film's opening sequence, set in the barren desert where the T-850 arrives, is a perfect example of how visual storytelling sets tone. Wide, desolate shots emphasize isolation, showing a harsh landscape devoid of life, which contrasts with the sudden, almost unnatural arrival of the Terminator. The camera work here feels purposeful and measured, letting the audience absorb the loneliness and the weight of the impending apocalypse. It's almost as if the landscape itself becomes a character, reflecting the desolation humanity will face. Throughout the film, the use of lighting plays a crucial role in shaping mood. Scenes within the bunker or the Cyber Research Systems facility often use cold, sterile lighting, bright fluorescents that strip away warmth and hint at a clinical, controlled world ruled by machines and technology. These spaces feel oppressive and claustrophobic, highlighting humanity's diminishing control. Conversely, moments outside, particularly during chase scenes, utilize natural and dynamic lighting, flickering streetlights, explosions, and nighttime shadows to evoke urgency and unpredictability. This contrast in lighting helps the audience feel the tension between human vulnerability and machine precision. Director Jonathan Mostow and cinematographer Adam Greenberg employ a variety of camera techniques to keep the viewer engaged and heighten emotional impact. Handheld shots are used effectively during chase sequences and close-quarters confrontations, adding a visceral, immediate quality to the action. The slight shakiness of the camera mirrors the chaos unfolding on screen, pulling the viewer into the heart of the conflict. In quieter, more intimate moments, the camera steadies, often lingering on characters' faces to capture subtle expressions of fear, determination, or doubt. This interplay between steady and shaky camera work helps balance adrenaline-pumping action with emotional depth. The editing style is another key element shaping the film's pace and tone. Rapid cuts during fight and chase scenes keep energy high and adrenaline flowing, while slower, longer takes allow for moments of reflection and character development. The editing cleverly uses cross-cutting to build suspense, especially when parallel action sequences converge toward critical moments. For instance, the intercutting between John and Kate's escape attempts and the Terminator confrontations builds a tension that keeps viewers on edge, reminding us how close danger lurks at every turn. Visual effects are seamlessly integrated, blending practical stunts with CGI to maintain realism while showcasing the film's futuristic elements. The TXS fluid, liquid metal transformations are particularly notable, pushing the boundaries of what was possible at the time. These effects aren't just for spectacle. They emphasize the alien, unstoppable nature of the TX, contrasting sharply with the more mechanical, bulky design of the T-850. The contrast in visual design between the two Terminators highlights the escalating threat level and technological evolution within the story. Sound design and music contribute powerfully to the film's immersive experience. The signature Terminator theme, composed by Brad Fiedel, returns with a modernized edge. Electronic pulses and industrial sounds weave into the score, reinforcing the film's high-tech dystopian atmosphere. The soundtrack shifts fluidly between suspenseful tension and explosive action, always supporting the on-screen emotion without overwhelming it. Sound effects are meticulously crafted to enhance realism. The mechanical whirs and clicks of the Terminators, the roar of engines during chase scenes, and the explosive impacts all feel tactile and immediate. At times, the absence of sound, silence or muffled noise, heightens suspense, forcing the audience to lean in and anticipate what might come next. This dynamic use of sound underscores the film's theme of man versus machine, highlighting moments when human senses are overwhelmed or sharpened in the face of danger. Jonathan Mostow's directorial vision is evident in his stylistic choices that blend old-school action sensibilities with modern technology-driven storytelling. He balances blockbuster thrills with moments of introspection, ensuring the film never becomes just a non-stop chase. The use of practical sets and real locations grounds the story, even as futuristic elements appear, making the world feel lived in rather than purely fantastical. One standout stylistic choice is the film's color palette. Predominantly cool blues, grays, and metallic tones dominate the movie's visual landscape, reinforcing the cold, clinical world ruled by machines. Warm colors are reserved for fleeting moments of human connection or emotional intensity, such as the soft glow of candlelight in the bunker or the sunset-hued desert scenes. This careful color design visually separates the human from the machine world, reinforcing the story's underlying conflict. Camera framing also supports the narrative's emotional core. Many shots frame characters with looming shadows or tight close-ups that convey vulnerability, while wider shots often isolate them in vast, empty spaces, emphasizing their smallness against the overwhelming threat of the machines. The framing during confrontations often uses low-angle shots for the Terminators, giving them a menacing, almost godlike presence, while higher angles on humans suggest fragility and uncertainty. The film also uses visual motifs that subtly reinforce themes. Recurring imagery of wires, circuits, and digital interfaces appear throughout, often juxtaposed with human skin or natural elements. These visuals remind the viewer of the merging lines between humanity and technology, a core tension driving the story. The interplay of organic and mechanical forms becomes a silent language within the film's visual storytelling. In quieter scenes, the camera often lingers on small details, like the mechanical eye of the Terminator scanning the environment or Kate's trembling hands, inviting viewers to focus on both the grand and the intimate. These moments deepen the emotional resonance, reminding us that beneath the high-tech battles are very real human experiences. The film's soundscape is punctuated by moments of silence that enhance tension and emotional weight. When characters face moments of realization or loss, the music pulls back, allowing raw emotion and ambient sounds to fill the space. This restraint in audio design shows a sophisticated understanding of pacing, preventing sensory overload and making impactful moments stand out. Editing rhythm also reflects the film's themes. Faster cuts during machine attacks evoke the relentless, unstoppable nature of Skynet's forces, while slower editing during character interactions allows for empathy and human connection to breathe. This balance keeps the narrative dynamic without sacrificing emotional depth. When you watch Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, the dynamic between the main actors feels like a crucial thread that holds the story together. Arnold Schwarzenegger's return as the Terminator carries a familiar weight, but it's the chemistry between him, Nick Stahl as John Connor, and Claire Danes as Kate Brewster that gives the film its emotional heartbeat. Their interactions aren't just functional. They bring a genuine sense of urgency, skepticism, and eventual trust that elevates the narrative beyond typical action fare. Arnold's portrayal of the T-850 shows a blend of mechanical coldness and subtle humor, a shift from his earlier, more rigid Terminator roles. This nuanced performance works perfectly because of the way he plays off Nick Stahl's more vulnerable and uncertain John Connor. Stahl's John is young and reluctant, still coming to terms with the heavy mantle of future leadership. Their scenes together balance moments of tension and camaraderie, as the Terminator becomes not just a protector, but a strange kind of mentor. The understated banter between the two feels natural, lending credibility to their evolving relationship. Claire Danes' Kate Brewster adds another layer to this dynamic. Initially wary and skeptical, Kate's interactions with both John and the Terminator chart a believable arc from disbelief to resolve. Danes' performance shines in scenes where she balances fear and courage, capturing the essence of an ordinary person suddenly thrust into extraordinary circumstances. The tension between Kate's practical, grounded nature and John's reluctant heroism brings an emotional texture that audiences can connect with. Together, these three actors form a triangle of trust and conflict that drives the film forward. Behind the scenes, the cast's camaraderie and challenges helped shape these performances. Reports from the set reveal a mix of professionalism and moments of lightheartedness, which helped offset the film's dark themes. Arnold Schwarzenegger, known for his charismatic presence, reportedly brought a sense of ease to the set, encouraging his co-stars and injecting humor into intense filming days. Nick Stahl and Claire Danes, both younger actors, found in Arnold a mentor figure, which translated into the believable mentorship on screen. The film's director, Jonathan Mostow, encouraged this interplay, often focusing on small, personal moments amid the high-octane action. For example, the quiet scenes in the bunker or the moments where characters exchange looks of uncertainty were carefully guided to ensure authenticity. These scenes might appear simple, but they required the actors to find truth in their performances, revealing inner conflict beneath the surface of the action thriller. Set dynamics also played a vital role in shaping the film's atmosphere. The production design, from the Stark Cyber Research Systems lab to the claustrophobic bunker, created immersive environments that actors could physically engage with. These realistic settings helped the cast ground their performances. The tension of confined spaces during chase and fight scenes added an extra layer of pressure, both for characters and performers alike, enhancing the palpable sense of danger. Practical effects and stunt work added another dimension to on-set energy. The actors had to perform under demanding conditions, often coordinating with complex mechanical rigs or CGI placeholders. Claire Danes and Nick Stahl took on physically challenging scenes, contributing to the film's sense of realism. Their dedication to stunt work and emotional authenticity helped anchor the sci-fi spectacle in human experience. Audience reactions upon release reflected a mixture of excitement and critique, mirroring the film's balance of spectacle and story. Fans of the franchise welcomed Arnold's return and the continuation of John Connor's story with enthusiasm. The action sequences, cutting-edge effects, and familiar themes resonated with viewers who had grown up with the earlier Terminator films. For many, Terminator 3 rekindled the thrill of the original's high stakes and futuristic dangers. Critically, the film received mixed reviews. Some praised the action and visual effects but felt the narrative didn't reach the emotional heights of Terminator 2. Yet, many acknowledged the solid performances, especially the cast's chemistry, as a highlight. Over time, Terminator 3 has gained appreciation among fans for its gritty realism and willingness to confront darker themes of inevitability and survival. Long-term fan engagement has been robust, with the film sparking discussions about its place within the broader Terminator saga. Its portrayal of a world sliding into apocalypse, despite characters' efforts, adds a somber dimension that has resonated in the years since its release. Fan communities often debate the relationships between the characters, praising the believable interactions that anchor the story's emotional core. The film's blend of practical effects and early 2000s CGI also holds nostalgic value, marking a transitional moment in Hollywood visual storytelling. Behind-the-scenes stories shared by the cast and crew add layers of appreciation for fans. For instance, Arnold's commitment to performing many of his own stunts despite injuries showcases his dedication. Nick Stahl's reflections on portraying a young hero wrestling with destiny reveal the depth of thought that went into his role. Claire Danes has spoken about how playing Kate Brewster challenged her to find strength in vulnerability, mirroring her character's journey. The set atmosphere reportedly fostered a collaborative spirit, despite the demanding shoot schedule. Cast and crew worked closely to balance intense action scenes with moments of quiet character development. This teamwork is evident in the final product, where emotional beats feel earned amid the adrenaline-fueled chaos. In sum, the synergy between the actors, the immersive sets, and the committed production team created a film that resonates on multiple levels. The authenticity of relationships, grounded performances, and behind-the-scenes dedication combined to elevate Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines beyond a simple action sequel. The audience's varied reactions, from initial excitement to nuanced critique and lasting fandom, underscore the film's complexity and impact. By blending chemistry, environment, and audience engagement, Terminator 3 stands as a testament to how human connection, both on and off screen, can enrich even the most high-tech, dystopian tales. It invites viewers not just to witness a battle for the future, but to feel the intertwined struggles of survival, trust, and hope that define the human spirit amid the rise of the machines. Terminator 3. Rise of the Machines arrived at a time when audiences were eager for thrilling, high-concept sci-fi that pushed boundaries while reflecting deeper anxieties about technology and the future. Though it followed two iconic predecessors, this film carved its own path, leaving a distinctive mark on its genre and the broader cultural landscape that continues to echo years after its release. At its core, Terminator 3 stands as a bridge, linking the groundbreaking special effects and storytelling of the late 90s with the emerging digital techniques of the early 2000s. Its seamless blend of practical stunts and cutting-edge CGI helped set new standards for action filmmaking, influencing how blockbuster franchises approach the integration of human performances with digital characters. The TX, with its fluid metallic transformations, became a visual benchmark for shape-shifting villains in cinema, inspiring countless interpretations in films, television, and video games. The film's thematic exploration of inevitability, where fate looms large and human efforts to alter destiny face daunting odds, resonated in a post-millennium world increasingly aware of technological dependency and global uncertainty. It deepened the franchise's narrative complexity by showing that even heroes like John Connor can only delay, not fully prevent, the rise of machines. This sobering perspective distinguished Terminator 3 from its predecessors and enriched the sci-fi genre with a nuanced take on apocalypse and survival. Culturally, the movie helped cement the Terminator franchise as a pillar of modern science fiction. Arnold Schwarzenegger's iconic role as the Terminator had already become legendary, but Terminator 3 reinforced his status as an enduring action hero capable of adapting to changing cinematic tastes. His blend of stoicism, subtle humor, and relentless drive made the Terminator a symbol not just of destruction, but of protection, a complex figure mirroring society's mixed feelings about technology itself. The film also influenced subsequent works within and beyond the franchise. Its approach to character dynamics, particularly the mentor-like relationship between the Terminator and John Connor, added emotional depth that future sci-fi and action films sought to emulate. Directors and writers took cues from Terminator 3's balance of thrilling spectacle with intimate character moments, demonstrating that blockbuster films could deliver both excitement and emotional resonance. In terms of milestones, Terminator 3 marked significant achievements in visual effects and production scale. It was one of the first major films to push liquid metal CGI to new heights, paving the way for more sophisticated character animations in the years that followed. Its practical effects, particularly in high-speed chases and explosive set pieces, set a standard for realism that inspired action filmmakers to blend old-school stunt work with digital enhancements rather than relying solely on CGI. While the film's critical reception was mixed, its commercial success proved its wide-reaching appeal. This success validated the viability of sequels in established franchises, influencing Hollywood's increasing reliance on cinematic universes and multi-installment sagas. The enduring fan base that Terminator 3 cultivated speaks to its ability to engage audiences beyond the initial hype, sparking passionate discussions about its themes, characters, and place in the broader narrative of humanity versus technology. Awards and recognition, though modest compared to some blockbuster peers, acknowledged the film's technical prowess. Visual effects nominations celebrated the groundbreaking work that brought the TX and action sequences to life, while stunt choreography and sound design also received industry praise. These accolades highlighted the collaborative effort behind the scenes that transformed ambitious ideas into immersive cinematic reality. Beyond the technical and narrative impact, Terminator 3 holds a unique cultural significance as a reflection of early 21st century anxieties. It captured a moment when society grappled with rapid technological change, fears of automation, and the unknown future shaped by artificial intelligence. The film's darker, more fatalistic tone contrasted with earlier sci-fi optimism, signaling a shift in how popular media explored humanity's relationship with machines. Its legacy also lies in its characters. John Connor's reluctant heroism, Kate Brewster's grounded courage, and the Terminator's evolving sense of purpose have inspired countless fan interpretations and creative works. These characters embody timeless struggles, fighting for survival, facing destiny, and questioning what it means to be human. Their stories continue to resonate because they mirror real-world dilemmas about choice, control, and identity in a rapidly changing world. In reflecting on why Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines remains significant today, it's clear that its influence extends far beyond box office numbers or special effects innovations. The film stands as a cultural touchstone that challenges viewers to consider the delicate balance between technology's promise and peril. It asks what happens when the creations meant to serve humanity become the architects of its downfall, a question that grows more relevant as artificial intelligence and automation become increasingly integrated into daily life. Moreover, the film's enduring appeal is tied to its ability to blend high-stakes action with human emotion, creating a cinematic experience that thrills and provokes thought. Its vision of a near future shaped by unstoppable forces invites audiences to confront their fears and hopes, making Terminator 3 not just a movie, but a cultural dialogue. As new generations discover the film through streaming platforms, re-releases, and fan communities, its impact continues to evolve. It serves as a reminder of the transformative power of storytelling, how a movie can capture the spirit of its time while speaking to universal truths about survival, sacrifice, and the human condition. Ultimately, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines endures because it is more than an action sequel. It is a reflection of our collective fears and resilience in the face of change. Its legacy lives on in the many films it influenced, the discussions it sparked, and the hearts of fans who continue to find meaning in its story of machines rising and humans fighting back. It is a cinematic milestone that invites us to look forward even as it warns us to remember the costs of progress. Looking back on Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, what truly stands out is how this film manages to blend thrilling action, unforgettable characters, and thought-provoking themes into one powerful package. From the moment it hit theaters on July 2, 2003, it grabbed audiences with its intense pace, stunning visuals, and a story that digs deeper than just explosions and chases. This movie wasn't simply about the fight between humans and machines. It was about the tension between fate and free will, hope and despair, survival and sacrifice. Arnold Schwarzenegger's return as the Terminator brought a sense of continuity and charisma that fans had been waiting for. But it was the fresh faces of Nick Stahl and Claire Danes, portraying John Connor and Kate Brewster, that gave the story new emotional depth. Their journey from uncertainty to determination added a human layer to the sci-fi spectacle, making the stakes feel personal and real. The chemistry between these characters, combined with a villain as formidable as the TX, created a narrative tension that kept viewers glued to the screen. The movie's visual storytelling set new benchmarks for action films at the time. The fluid blend of practical effects with then groundbreaking CGI brought the terrifying future of the machines vividly to life. Every chase, every fight, every moment felt charged with energy, making the movie a true roller coaster of excitement. But beneath all that action, the film offered a darker, more mature view of its world. One where the inevitable rise of machines wasn't just a distant threat, but an approaching reality, no matter how hard the characters fought. What makes Terminator 3 truly memorable is its balance of spectacle and soul. It's a movie that entertains but also invites viewers to think about the consequences of technology and the resilience of humanity. It challenges us to ask, when the future seems set in stone, how do we hold on to hope? This question lingers long after the credits roll and continues to resonate in our ever-evolving digital age. Over the years, the film has secured its place in pop culture as a defining chapter in the Terminator saga. Its influence is seen in the wave of sci-fi action movies that followed, and its characters remain beloved figures in the genre. More than that, Terminator 3 stands as a reminder of what great filmmaking can achieve, blending heart, thrills, and big ideas into an unforgettable cinematic experience. So, if you love diving deep into Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines with me today, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Your support means the world and helps us bring more detailed explorations of your favorite movies. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so we can keep unraveling the magic behind the films that captivate us all. Together, we'll keep exploring the stories, the characters, and the incredible worlds of cinema. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to take you on the next movie journey. Until then, Keep your eyes open, because every film has secrets waiting to be discovered.